Alô, João! Grande João! Como é que estamos
E
aí,
aí,
meu
Jorge?
amigo?
Grande Jorge, tudo em cima. Mais uma vez
Mais
cá
um,
estamos, não é?
é isso aí, mais um programa, o podcast é,
Muito especial,
Portinho,
pelos vistos.
muito especial, cara. Hoje, não que os outros convidados não tenham sido internacionais, né? Porque
Todos eles
estamos cá em
são.
Portugal e eles estão no Brasil, são internacionais também para nós aqui. É, mas essa pessoa que vem cá hoje, ela é muito especial. Acho que para todos nós que somos MVPs, ele tem mais de 42 anos de experiência. Ele nasceu em Londres e está agora no Texas, nos Estados Unidos. Ele atualmente é Developer Advocate na Embarcadero. Esse podcast vai ser transmitido em inglês, mas vocês podem colocar a legenda em português, obviamente, para uma legenda automática que o próprio YouTube faz. E eu espero que vocês gostem. Nós vamos começar então agora. João, se quiser chamar aí o nosso convidado.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today our very special guest, is none less than Mr. Ian Barker. Mr. Ian Barker, please introduce yourself,
Hello.
my friend.
How are you doing, guys?
Nice to
Great,
see you,
great
Ian.
to have you here, Ian. What a pleasure. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's always an honor. You guys always like, oh, it's Ian, but the honor is
the
for
honor
me to see you
is
guys.
our.
Nah.
Before we start, I just to say you have always been there supporting us at our event in the initiative we run here in Portugal. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ian. We are so small, and your support is very important for us.
Well,
For those,
the important thing is when you say that is that really you're supporting me in doing my work. You guys are more important than you. You're always very, oh, we are nothing and we're small, blah blah. But you know what? Without your involvement, Delphi would be nowhere. It's the people out there, the developers and MVPs like you two that are important. I mean, I know I do my part. I get it. I work hard because I love Delphi. Ever since day one, ever since the very first day it was released, I remember, I said, that's the language for me. But I went from being a fan to being an employee, but I still, I'm with you guys all the way. And I really appreciate the efforts you do, but also everybody that's out there is a Delphi programmer as well. So good on you.
okay, so for those listening, this podcast was created for Delphi community here in Portugal and of course around the world, so people can discover not just the product itself but also the amazing people behind it and the developers who truly love working with Delphi. So yeah, please introduce yourself for our subscribers in case anyone doesn't know you, of course.
Already?
And
It's possible.
Hard to believe.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, and there are some people that do not know me, but there's only about 3 of them in the world. But if you're a Delphi person, as it says on LinkedIn, yes, if you are a Delphi person, I might look familiar, and that's true. But my name is Ian Barker, and I'm the developer advocate for Embarcadero. What does that mean? Well, I basically just talk about the products that we produce. That's Rad Studio, Delphi, C++ Builder, Interbase, and anything relating to those. I work for Idera, IDERA. And so you will see me turn up for other brands because I do occasionally work for those brands as well, like Yellowfin, Fusion Charts. There's all sorts of companies. Idera owns 25 or more companies. There's a lot, I know that much. So Sometimes you'll see me turn up on there. In fact, I did a webinar on Friday after the 13.1 release. I did a webinar for Yellowfin as well. So that's what I do. I've been a developer my whole life. I remember when I was 14 years old, I was sitting in the school, and this was the 1970s, because I'm pretty old, and some kid walked in, and in those days you would knock on the door and call the teacher sir, and it was very formal. This kid walked in, and he went over to the corner of the room, and there was a computer in there. We had 2 computers in the school. One was for the very highest people in mathematics, and the other were for the very highest people in physics, science. And I wasn't in either of those. I was too young. And he went up and he touched the computer and turned the power button. We all went, oh my God, he's touching the computer, because they were very expensive back then. Thousands and thousands of thousands of pounds. And nobody had them. And after a couple of minutes, because it took that long to warm up, he had a screen, a bit like that kind of flat screen behind me there, and he typed on the computer, and he went, and he hit the button, and the screen just filled up with text. And I thought, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I want to do that. And after that, that's exactly what I did. And so why am I always so cheerful? Because look, every day I do exactly what I wanted to do when I was 14 years old. So, and I love Delphi. I was a Delphi programmer from the very first day it was released. And I became the developer advocate only 2.5 years ago, I think now. So, I was a customer long before I was an employee. In fact, that was one of the questions you asked me, because you sent me some questions beforehand, which was, how did I become the developer advocate? So what happened was Jim McKeith, which I'm sure a lot of people will remember. He's also a very good friend of mine. He's been to my house and things like that. We're good buddies. There are videos of us sword fighting with swords, so he's pretty crazy. But Jim McKeith decided he was going to leave. He wanted to go and work for a cryptocurrency, a Bitcoin kind of company. And at that time, I worked for Embarcadero, but I was the editor. So all of the blogs that you see, Learn Delphi, Learn C++, or the main blog and some others as well, I was the chief editor. I'm a writer and an editor by profession, as well as a developer. And so I've been working with the company for a while, and I was an MVP, and more people had seen me as an MVP than anything else, showing demonstrations. And he said, hey, I'm leaving. Would you be interested in taking over the job? And I did. So here I am, And I've had a weird career. I've worked as a programmer for a very long time. I've worked in very, very big companies, Rover Cars, Austin Mini. Everybody knows the Mini car, right? And Land Rover and those kind of companies. I also worked for Time Systems, so millions of people in the United Kingdom clock in and out with clocking in machines, the things, fingerprint scanners. In fact, there's probably, I think you can maybe see it down there. There's you can just about see it. That's a time clock there. That's a time clock there. It's a hand scanner. So I wrote software that worked with those. And in the UK, there are about 3.5 million people clock in and out for work, and they never know it's a Delphi program. So I was always a proper developer, always. And I worked for lots of software houses and things like that. But that's how I became developer advocate. So I don't write as much code now, because I'm doing lots of things like your podcast and stuff like that. But I still get up every day and write code. I have a machine there that I use a lot of time to write code.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, let me ask you this very simple question. Why do you become a programmer? Let's not say programmer. I don't like the word. A developer. And why did you choose Delphi What motivates you to choose Delphi?
Okay, well, I always used to use the term programmer. And the reason was when I started out, I first started being a professional. I sold my first computer program when I was 15. My father worked for a company called ICL, International Computer Limited. And in fact, if you've ever seen that thing where they decode the Enigma, you remember the Enigma machine? And they had those big machines that had those dials round. That was actually made in Letchworth in Hertfordshire, where I went to school. And my father's company owned the building that was in. They later became Control Data. And so I was always surrounded by computing, but I knew as soon as I saw, I wrote my homework out on the back of, punch cards and the old thing. So I've always been surrounded by computers, but I've been a DJ. I've owned a nightclub. I've worked in grocery stores. I'm not Superman. I'm a normal person. But I have always knew I wanted to be a programmer. Always, from when I was probably 14, I knew that was the job for me. I've done nursing and weird other things as well. I've been married 3 times, and when you are young and you have a young family, you have to work very hard. So I often did 2 jobs, and so I quite often programmed during the day and then DJ'd at night, and things like that as well. So lots of discos and lots of things like that I used to work at. But why did I become a programmer? Because it's the only job that I ever really wanted to do, and that's all I can really say is that, it made sense to me. Why did I choose Delphi? Well, I started out in 1980 coding in COBOL, and then for a long time as well.
Yeah, the old folks start always.
Yeah, exactly. So
Me too.
I think it's the same, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Great language. Actually, a very good, well thought out language. It's very good. But I did that for a while, and then the company I worked at did Unix computers and big mainframe computers, and they needed people to work on the operating system, Unix operating system. And again, this was the very early 1980s, so it involved some programming. You couldn't just put a disk drive in and it would work. You had to actually build the operating system, Unix System 5. And so I learned C. I was a C programmer for a long time. I actually wrote an antivirus software in the 90s in C. But I was also a Visual Basic guru. Microsoft's term for MVPs early in the 90s was guru. You were, like a guy that crosses his leg, like Buddha, like this kind of thing, a guru, and Visual Basic was okay, but it had lots of things that were not good about it. In those days, it didn't compile to a true native executable. And it was very clunky, very buggy, and very, very slow. I saw Delphi in a magazine advert, and in fact, I can show you something in a moment, because there's a secret screen in Rad Studio that actually contains the advert that made me become a Delphi guy. So I'll show you that in a moment. But I just looked at this magazine advert and I thought, this thinks the way I think. Object orientated and very powerful language, and it was pretty low cost at the time as well. Sorry, I'm giving my dog treats, so he's sitting in the background crying at me. And
I have a cat.
Yeah, he's very famous. He's been on a lot of podcasts. So he's pretty good. Usually goes to sleep. But that was it. I saw Delphi and just went, that made sense to me. And I started using Delphi, and it was very easy to create very good quality commercial programs. And that's what I did. I worked for other software houses. I was hired by a software house to write programs for the general public. So I've always written programs that go out to thousands or millions of people, not just one or two in a company, you know, like a captive environment. So if you bought a Canon printer, you know, like a laser printer back in the day, it used to come with a DVD. I think originally it was probably a CD, but a DVD with 7 programs on it. And I wrote 5 of those programs. And there was like a font manager, a graphics editor, a few other things as well. So that's you know, I've always been that kind of programmer that's been out there writing software that real people use, not people who are trapped in an office and made to use something horrible. You know, no, I had to actually appeal to the real end users, normal mums and dads and normal people out in there. And so it made me a very specific type of developer. I'm very big on user interface design, and I think it's quite important. I think design is if you learn design properly, it will make you a better programmer, because you should know what makes a program look good and what makes a program work good. There are 2 different things.
Yeah.
But it should be both. You know, it should look pretty and work well. You know, so
Yeah.
that's where I'm from.
How did you become the person responsible for the MVPs?
MVPs, yeah.
Yeah, and what are the qualities you see in professionals that make them an Embarcadero MVP?
Okay, I get asked this quite a lot about what does an MVP do, and the answer is there is no set standard. So what happens is the developer advocate, Jim used to call himself, I think he might have called himself developer evangelist, but I'm not sure. But he also called himself chief engineer. And I didn't want to be called chief engineer. They actually let me choose my title. They said, we don't really have, you know, I don't think they would have let me call myself king of Delphi or anything, but, you know, it had to be a very specific thing. But they said, what do you want to be called? And I said, I want to be the developer advocate. Now, an advocate is someone who's like, you know, if you go to court and you're in trouble, and the lawyer that stands next to you, who's arguing your side of the story, or it might be a tribunal, or it could be, that person is called an advocate. They are explaining your story. And so I am the developer advocate. I'm advocating, I'm explaining your side of programming to the end customers. You know, I'm explaining the benefits of our product, but also listening to guys like you tell me what they like or don't like about the product. Now, MVPs, when I took that over, it is part of the developer advocate's job to be in charge of MVPs and tech partners or technology partners. So GDK, TMS, you know, all of the end software, all of those companies are technology partners. And my job is to also manage those as well. And we used to have very strict rules about what an MVP was. This was probably 10-year-old rules. And it used to be they had to be the best, they had to be doing this, they had to do that, they had to write a blog post every so often, they had to do, you know, podcast, you know, and things like that. I said, I'm not doing any of that. I want an MVP to be someone who, first of all, understands the product. They don't have to be the best at it, but they believe in the product and they do know certain things well. Because I think that it's important that if you're an MVP and you're representing the product, that you genuinely like the product. You might hate some bits of it because there are not everything's perfect, but I think it's important that an MVP is someone that you believe what they're saying. Now, I obviously am not going to pick someone who's terrible at Delphi because there would be no point, you know. But I have made some people MVPs who are not Delphi people. For example, now I'm going to forget his name. Let's get him. Arnaud Boucher, who does the Mormot project, MORMOT, is very well known a project. He is primarily a Free Pascal guy, and he said to me beforehand, "Are you sure you want to make me an MVP?" And I said, look, Free Pascal and Delphi are not enemies. We're cousins.
Yeah.
And like at every wedding or every birthday party, sometimes cousins will argue and maybe even fight, okay? You know, because there's something happened, but it's because of your closeness that you argue. And, you know, you were rude to my mum when I was 6 years old, you know, something ridiculous. But that's what families do. And I truly believe that Free Pascal is our cousin to Delphi. And there are many things that they've adopted, shall we say, or have been inspired by what we've done. And there are things that we've looked at of theirs and obviously been inspired by as well. Because a good idea is a good idea. We wouldn't allow outright copying, but and likewise we wouldn't outright copy things they've done. But we should never be enemies. In fact, I went to Germany last year to a Free Pascal event and made it clear that and in the end there were Free Pascal guys hugging me. That's never happened before, you know, and they're hugging me because I genuinely mean it. We are all in this together. Pascal, as a community, needs to fight against AI, C#, and Python. Python is a good choice for many things. It's a great language, very easy to use, but it's not the answer for every case. And Delphi is almost always the answer to, I want to write a program, what language should I use? Use Delphi, it's very easy. It's in use by many. Now, when I started, Delphi was number 23, I think, on the TIOBE index. Now it's always at number 10 or number 9. And the reason is that I'm quite effective at encouraging people to talk about the product and to get people like you guys to do podcasts. And I will always support you, always. Like Australia, when I was talking to the guys on Friday in Australia, they're like, oh my God, what time, you know, what time is it? It's like 11 o'clock my time. And I started at 4 a.m. that day, 4 in the morning. So it was a very long day. I did have a little nap in between, but it was only an hour. You know, but the reason I do that is not because I'm a hero. I mean, I got paid. You know, it wasn't like I did it for free. But the reason I do that is it's, you know, it's my job to be there for everybody around the world, including Australia, Korea. You know, we'll have lots of users in Korea, India. You know, maybe not Pakistan quite so much, but certainly there's a lot of developers in India, China. We're not allowed to actually travel to China very easily. There are a lot of Russian developers. We're actually legally not allowed to sell to Russia because of American government restrictions. We are based in Austin, theoretically, and so we are forbidden from selling to Russia because of certain restrictions. So, you know, I always say our only religion is Delphi, and our only politics are tabs or spaces, and I mean that. Because at any one time in the 31 years that Delphi has been around, every country's been at war or arguing with something. There's just no time where you can ever pick and say, you know, oh, this religion is wrong, that politics is wrong. It's not relevant. Our religion is Delphi, and we all speak the same language, even if you know, I don't speak Portuguese. I can say bom dia and stuff like that, but hola, and that's about it. I think sim, I think is the other word I know. But when you see Delphi code, we all speak the same language, and I think that's a cool thing, you know.
That's just a little remark for those who think that operating systems start with DOS. No, that's not true. It started way before that, like Ian said, with Unix. It was an ancient system. It ran big machines, and we started programming in COBOL in those machines. Ian, this week, Embarcadero has launched the new version of Delphi. It was a webinar a few days before that. And just for the purpose of the new version. How does Embarcadero choose the new features, the features that does not go in that? How does this work behind the scenes? Can you explain that?
I'll tell you what it's like. It's like, let's say you have a car and you have 10 children and you want to go to the beach in your car, but you can't fit all 10 children in the car. So you say, this time I will take these children and they will go in the car with me to the beach. And so the other children, you give them some candy, or something nice, and you make sure someone's looking after them, and you sit them in front of the TV and they watch some horrific program you would never let them watch if you were still around and not on the beach. And that's really what happens with software development. What we do is on a bigger scale, but it's the same as almost everybody else, is that ideally we would fix everything. We fixed over 1,600 issues in 13.1. And a lot of people say, well, you should fix all the bugs. This is not possible. The problem is that Delphi has been around for 31 years. And in that time, there have been 3 or 4 different companies that have owned it. And this is no excuse, because it should have been done, long ago. But there's literally no possibility that some bugs can be fixed within a certain time scale. Many of them will be. And actually, every time we do a release, we stop and then we will say, okay, there'll be a hot fix or there'll be a patch. There'll be an update patch. But we know internally sometime ahead when the release date will be. And in fact, anybody that's used Delphi long enough can usually guess when that's going to be anyway, because we have to announce webinars and people go, oh, I know what that means. But it is not, because the way that the mechanism works behind the scenes, there are 9 different languages, I think, that the program is translated into: Japanese, Spanish, English, Portuguese, I think, German. I'm sure there's some other languages. And then we have to upload the enterprise version, the architect version, the professional version. We have to have the version that does network licensing, the version that does on-machine licensing. We have to do an educational version. And so there are lots and lots of big things going on. Meanwhile, in the background, there are sales people that need to be trained. There are our technical support people that need to be trained. We need to create resources for where people raise bug tickets so that they're going and being associated with the right product. It's a massive amount of work. It's not an excuse, but it takes a long time. It's not something you can just go, hey, let's release it tomorrow afternoon. It doesn't work like that. It's months ahead of time. And if something's really bad, like a massive bug that is just so bad we can't possibly accept it, then we would say, no, we'll carry on with the webinar, but we will not release that day. But usually by then we know, what ones we have to do. Now, how do we pick the bugs? There's a combination of things. First of all, some of them we know we can't fix until the next major version. Okay, so 12, 11, 12, 13, 14.0. The reason is that when we make some changes, it changes a thing called the ABI, which is the interface of the packages and things like that. And it means that your components would be, you'd have to get new versions of components because they would not be compatible. Okay. And so we can only do that in a major release, so 13, 14. So if we know that's a bug that is going to be something we have to change the ABI for, it doesn't matter how important it is, it's going to have to wait until the next major release. But some things are picked because they are very easy to do. or they are part of something else we're working on. So we're working on that particular feature, and while we're working on that feature, we may as well take these bugs that relate to that feature. And some of them are based on, we know that it's serious enough that we've had enough reports from people to say, hey, this is a problem. It affects more than one person. I mean, if there's one guy out in, a village in the middle of nowhere and he's the only guy that gets the problem, he's probably not going to get a fix, right? So, but generally that's how it works. So it is literally pick the children you want to take to the beach in the car, and those are the ones that go. Even though in an ideal world you want all the children to come to you and get another car and get someone else to drive that car and all go to the beach together. It doesn't work like that, and it's not going to work like that for the foreseeable future. Now, what I would like on a personal level, I would like us to do more frequent releases. My personal ideal situation would be that we did a monthly release. So every month we did a patch, and every month that patch is just bug fixes and nothing else. No features, no updates on anything, just a bug fix. But the trouble is that if you take into account it takes all day to build a build, that's one day of the month you've lost already. And then it takes hours to copy out to all the content delivery networks. It's actually quite hard even to do once a month. But that's where I would personally like us to be, to do just bug fixes every month. Now, I have spoken to people about this, and some people have said why we can't do it, and other people have said, well, maybe we could do it. So I don't know, perhaps in the future, but I doubt it.
So we do that with our softwares, right? Where
I've done it in the past with my own software, but again, you're talking about a scale of 3.5 million people, downloading this product, and not all of them actually, because that's inaccurate, because that includes, people with older versions and things like that. But certainly millions of people are using it, and multiple countries and stuff like that. So it is extremely complicated, and I don't understand all of it, because I have a weird position in the company that I'm actually pretty senior, and sometimes I say stuff and things happen, and I'm surprised that everybody listened to me, but they do. What I say is taken credibly. People listen to me because I am the voice of you guys. The voice of the developers out there. Sometimes I'm told to shut up, but mostly not. And also, I'm very lucky that the company have never told me what to say. Never. There was only one time that happened. That was when all of our servers went down, and I'd only been doing the job for a month. All the servers went down, and they're like, I said, here's a press release, and they're like, no, our legal people need to write this press release. I'm like, okay, well, that's the only time they've ever actually not silenced me, but took what I wrote and took it out and said, you can only say this, because it was a legal thing. It was very likely we would be sued by lots of people. But and again, it wasn't our fault that happened. It was just the server outage was a couple of years back now, and it happened because a number of different things happened at the same time that just ended up being a disaster. Now we've now set up, we've learned from that, and that cannot happen again. And in fact, it hasn't happened for 2 years now, which is unusual, because back in the day, if you remember, before that happened, it was frequent that things like that would happen. So, but they never tell me what to say. I know that sometimes I say things, and I'm sure the bosses go, what's he saying? But I've said to them before, I believe in the company. I believe, I wish we could give the product away for free, but the reality is we've got some very smart people working on the product who are not cheap, as you would expect. They could go and get a job anywhere, and in order to to maintain that, you've got to pay them what they're worth. And they would argue they're not being paid enough, but then nobody ever gets paid enough, right? But you know, we have to pay for the advertising, we have to pay for the legal people, we have to pay for, you know, t-shirts and stuff like that. So it adds up, you know, it adds up to us charging a certain amount. But like I say, I'm never really told what to say, and I'm never really put in a position where I disagree with what they're saying. IDERA has a policy of not making a forward-looking statement. What that means is a prediction of what will come. So I couldn't say to you, we will have this in the next release. Version 14 will have this feature. That's forbidden. There is a reason for that. It is because in some countries, and we are in 27 or more countries, in some countries, if we make a statement about what might happen and it doesn't happen, even if it's not our fault, even if, you know, some kind of demon came along and put a curse on us, we could still be sued and in big trouble, and it could put us out of business. So that's what IDERA have, that policy. I don't like it, but I understand why they say that. And it's easy for me to say these things, you know, and go, oh, we should be allowed to say it. But I'm not the one who has to worry about going out of business, you know, when they get sued. But that's about the only thing. So I think, you know, IDERA is being owned by IDERA is a good thing and a bad thing. They're the first company that have managed to keep Delphi going for several years. We've been going with IDERA for going on 6 years now or more, and that's impressive, really, because even Borland went bankrupt, you know, and Code Gear or whatever the other ones were called, they went bust as well. So, you know, IDERA, not only are they made a success of it, actually we are doing better. We're not having massive sales like that, you know, let's not make a lie about it, but we are steady. We are on a little steady incline, and that's a combination of the marketing guys that I work with. My team are all in marketing, and obviously myself, but people like you two as well. You know, the two of you work very, very hard, and Georgia and Yao as well. You guys do so much for things like schools and stuff like that. I'm honestly, I am in awe of what you do, because I couldn't do it. You know, so you should give yourselves a pat on the back. I think you do well.
Yeah.
João.
Right now, what is your project? What are you doing right now? And do you have anything planned for the future?
Yeah, it's always a good question, isn't it? Well, I can tell you the stuff that I am doing. Okay, so I created some little demos for the webinar on Thursday that people saw, and so my next thing is to actually get those out so that people can download them, because everyone's like, "Oh, that's pretty. Can we have it?" And of course, yes, but you know, it's a. In terms of projects, we've got some webinars coming up. We have one tomorrow with GDK, with web stencils and AI. I have one after that with N Software, who are a very well-known tech partner as well. They have some MCP controls that we're going to be talking about. We also are doing a series of webinars in April, which is only, at the time of recording this, is just over a week away, where we are going to go through all of the different components that are available, including things like horse, but also, you know, I've got to mention a horse, right? Because otherwise the Brazilians will be, hey, you should have mentioned that. Every time I say about any open source project, all the Brazilians message me and say, you should talk about horse. I think it's their favorite project, but it's a great project. But I'm going to be talking about N Software and DevArt and DevExpress and TMS and all the other components, because we want to strengthen the message that if you're using Delphi and you're using Rad Studio, you're not starting from a blank screen. You have got all these components ready, created for you. And if you don't have a lot of money, and I know some people don't, it's a very difficult time in many countries right now, then here's a whole bunch of open source projects that you can use as well that are free. There is no excuse for rewriting everything from scratch. If you want to do a calendar, I can show you probably 10 calendar components. If you want to do web-based stuff, I can show you multiple web applications. Oh, you want to do a remote desktop, like have your app act like a remote desktop. I can show you 2 projects at least that do that. Oh, you want to do reports? Fine, not a problem. There is always something in there. But coupled with that, after that, we are going to do a series about AI. I personally like Claude Code myself. I think Claude is very, very good. But tomorrow you're going to see Marco G from GDK show you how they use AI. It's amazing. And but also a lot of people like Olama. There's some very good projects in Brazil that are using AI. Tina is one of them. It's very interesting as well. We're also going to be talking about code formatting and code refactoring, because there are days where I'm glad I'm out on the streets, because I think some people would lynch me.
The option is still there, but it doesn't work.
But it doesn't work. Yeah, okay. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. So what happened was code formatting and code refactoring was written many, many years ago in .NET. And it was written at the time when there was going to be a Delphi.NET. So Delphi 8 was .NET compatible.
Yeah.
And the person that wrote that, or the people that wrote that, worked on that team. And this was about the time that Idea bought the company. And they looked into Delphi 8 and said, is this the way we want to go to maintain lots of technology? One is very pure native Delphi code that creates native applications and FarmMonkey, or do we want to also maintain the .NET? And the decision was going the .NET route was probably not a good idea for the business model that Idea had. And so they stopped developing the .NET stuff, and the people involved in that project, I believe, left. I could be wrong, but I think they left. And the code formatter was maintained for a while, but it was always kind of, bolted in together. And it was a project that brought in, the refactoring was part of the modeling, which the UML modeling that was in there. And so it kept, adding the capability to understand multi-line strings didn't work, and inline variables didn't work. And so we had more and more problems with it, and it was causing more and more issues. And it was either fix it, which we costed out and decided how long it would take, and it was months. It was not something you do like that. It was a long job. The refactoring was similarly complicated. It was something like 2 years worth of work that it would have taken to do it. And so, as painful as it was, the decision was made to get rid of the modeling module. And when we get rid of that, it got rid of the code formatting and the refactoring. Now, right up until the last minute, we believed we had a solution that we could put in that would solve certainly the refactoring issue. So that's why the refactoring menu was still on there. But it turned out that we couldn't actually go ahead with it. There were technical reasons why, and some licensing reasons. In order for us to use existing source code or even write our own, we have to be compliant with laws in Europe, the UK, United States, Canada, lots of principalities around the world, lots of regions, Korea. And so we have to get clearance from legal. It takes a long time. They have lots of laws they have to go through. We have experts in multiple countries. And it was just, we can't do it. And so we released quite late, no code reformatting and no code refactoring. I've had so many people tell me quite bluntly how annoyed they are about that, and I get it. I absolutely do not think it's funny. I know I'm a smiley guy, but I take it very seriously that we don't have it in. We are bringing it back. We will have built-in code formatting and refactoring, but when it will be, I don't know, is the short answer. It's possible it might be 14, but if we could make it, then we would do it earlier. But it's just one of those things. The answer is, and it's an unpopular answer, there are open source projects out there that do a very good job. My personal favorite is PAS FMT, which is it adds a link to the IDE, and I can send you the links afterwards so you can include this in your thing. But PAS FMT, and for code formatting, there are others out there. I personally like that one. I use it. It's written in Rust, but we'll pretend it's written in Delphi just so that we don't flinch every time we use it. But it's very good. It understands all modern Delphi. The refactoring, would not be able to get anything better than MMX Explorer by Uwe Raab. If I was to, there are others out there. CM Wizards from CM Pack do it. G Experts, which everybody loves. G Experts is extremely good. We've looked before at having, I think CM Pack is in Get It. G Experts, I spoke to Thomas years ago, and he prefers not to be in Get It. That's absolutely fine. The reason is the history of the project's a bit convoluted. He took it over after the previous developer stopped maintaining for whatever reasons, but also the frequency within which we update Get It can be a problem for people like Thomas. He's trying to get on with his job, and he doesn't want to spend all day and do update things to fit and Get It. I completely understand. He's an okay guy. He's very German in his outlook on life, which is absolutely fine. But those would be my choices. So G Experts, I can't say enough good things about it. It's awesome. CN Wizards, CN Pack, very, very good as well. And MMX Explorer, excellent, really, really great product. I like Uwe. I've met him multiple times in Germany. Good guy. Very quiet guy, very understated. So don't be put off. If you ever meet him in person, go and say hi to him. He'll hate it. He'll hate you coming and saying hi, but do it anyway, because that guy really knows his stuff. He's a smart guy. And then PAS format for code formatting. If you use those, you'll solve nearly all the problems. There are some limitations. MMX Explorer only works in a particular unit that you've got open. It doesn't know all the units in the project. But it is quite effective, and I like it. So, and I'm sure with the rise of AI and coming soon some other things as well, these things might become irrelevant anyway, because there are some plugins that I've seen people producing that are going to make a lot of this irrelevant anyway, because with an AI refactoring, for example, would be perfect, wouldn't it? So now I get people come to me a lot, show me the new projects. I've had 3 people this morning say, "Hey Ian, can I have a meeting? I want to tell you about our project." That's great, and so I see a lot of what's coming up that people are working on, and I'm very excited. I think this year is going to be amazing, especially for AI. 2026 is the year where all the fake people out there who go, "AI is brilliant, look at our superb solution," it's gonna be time for them to work or go away. And the same with the providers of AI. Some of them, it's costing billions for some of those companies to provide the services. They're either going to raise their prices or go bust. So we shall see what happens. But yeah, 2026 is the year when AI is going to become amazing reality. You can order. I know several MVPs already who use AI exclusively, including GDK, to write code, and they do a lot of stuff with it. So
yeah, at this moment we have already gone over 50 minutes of video.
Oh,
it's good, very good, this talk. And this podcast wasn't created for only expert Delphi developers, and for beginners too,
sure.
right? And what would you say to someone who is just starting in programming, or wants to get started, not only in Delphi, but in other language too?
Okay, I can write in 9 different programming languages, maybe more. I've forgotten some of them that I can write in. I can write code in Forth. Most people don't even know what Forth is, but I can write programs in it. I even learnt a programming language called Occam, and that was for a type of computer called a transputer. So believe me, I've been there with choices of languages. Here's what I'm going to look straight at the camera for this, so that people understand what I'm saying. If you are beginning to become a developer, okay, I will tell you now, I am not a young man anymore. I'm actually over 60 years old, so I'm pretty old. And I never, ever regret becoming a computer programmer. And am I scared about AI? No. I have Claude open as we speak on my computer, but don't believe everything you hear about AI. Right now, if you listen to too many people will convince you that AI is going to destroy all the programming jobs. It's going to take you out of the loop, that it's a bad choice of career. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. What it's going to do is change the way we code. Yes, for sure. In the same way that when I first started, as Yao and I were talking about, you know, we were COBOL programmers. I used to have to write my program code out on a paper sheet with a pen. I'm not joking. And someone else would type my programs in, because the computer terminal that you typed at was very expensive. And so there were only 5 of them or something like that. And typists, people whose job it was to type the program in. They didn't know what it meant. They were just very good at writing it in. After 3.5, 4 months of that, and by the way, we wore white coats like a doctor, because it was a science, right? You were scientists, so you wore these white jackets. After 3 months, they bought dumb terminals, serial terminals, and all of the young guys, and I was one of them, I was 18 or 19 at the time, we suddenly we became more advanced than the other guys, because the old guys could only write out the code. Young guys like me could type. I'd been typing since I was a kid. My mother was a typist, so she taught me how to type on a typewriter. And we overtook those guys, and they basically become unimportant, sadly. But they weren't unimportant, because their roles changed, and they became people that said, we need a program that does this. It should look like this. Here's what we need the young guys to write. And the young guys like me were now talking to these people, and they became architects. There was no concept of a system architect back in that time, but that's what they were. And they became more senior. Now, along came assembly language, machine language, C programming, but they were all quite hard to learn. And then languages like Visual Basic came along, and Delphi came along, and they were more like normal language, like written English or something similar. Okay, and that was an evolution. And now you have got some languages like Sketch and a few others, where you drop these blocks together. You know, you almost draw your program. Here's this step, here's that step. And it's used for things like Arduino, Visuino by Buen Mitov, for example, as a system like that. Great. But that wasn't enough. Now with AI, it's the next level. You will tell the AI what your ideas are, the kind of thing you want it to do, and the AI will help you get to that point. Right now, don't believe anybody that tells you they can just vibe code it and make it work. It's nonsense. I know. I talk to thousands of developers, and people come and show me their great projects they've worked on, and there's very few that I've looked at and gone, that's perfect. Can they be more productive? Yes, they can. But are they going to be out of a job? No, they're not, any more than I am. There are going to be a lot of people that lose their jobs, because it makes the developer more productive. And that happens. Why would you go into a field and pick all the vegetables by hand with lots and lots of people pulling up the vegetables, when you can go in with a tractor? I mean, why would you use a horse when the tractor can go for 10 hours a day as long as you keep putting diesel or fuel into the tractor? Why would you use one tractor when you can use a massive machine that does it all? It's all about automation, and that's what AI is. So don't be scared about AI. If I'm not scared, and I would have every reason to be scared because I'm an old guy, trust me, there's nothing to be scared of. And secondly, it's not just one job. Software development is a very big subject, and there are things like user interface design, making the thing look pretty. AI is really bad at doing that right now. It makes ugly systems that don't work properly. User interface design, user experience, UX, that is somewhere to study as well, because you still need to have people who can use the program and it works well for them. And so many developers out there are very bad at understanding how to make a program easy to use and still functional. And that's what I specialize in, is user interface design. And lastly, it pays well. you know, it's a great job. It's not like going and working in a shoe factory. Sorry, it's actually better paid than, say, a nurse. I think all nurses and people like that should get massive amounts of money, because what they do is far more important. They're saving people's lives. They're holding the hands of the dying. My ex-sister-in-law was a midwife. She was delivering babies, not one life, but 2 lives, and sometimes 3 lives in her hands. And I would be paid twice as much as she got paid. That's not fair. But that's the way the world works. So if you want to be well off, if you want a job that is always very different every single day you do it, that you will never stop learning, you'll never be bored. No, that's not true. There are days where you're like, so bored. It happens, but mostly not. Then software development is a job for you. And if you ever have any doubts, my email address, I'm sure George and Yao will give it out.
Yes.
Embarcadero.com. If you ever want a little chat about it, I'm happy to discuss it with you and talk about what is good, the truth of software development. Because I've worked in big software houses, I've worked on my own, I've worked in companies where I was the only developer and everybody else wasn't. I've worked for entrepreneurs, self-made millionaires, all sorts. So I've worked at every type of organization, and I'll give you the truth, because I have no reason to lie to you, literally.
Don't worry. We will put your contacts on the comments.
I'm just going to block my email now then.
Yeah.
No need.
Yeah, that's
no need
fine.
for that.
But seriously, but I literally, it is my job to be there for developers. So don't be shy. If you want to email me, go ahead. And by the way, if English is not your first language, it is okay to email me in your own language. That's the great thing about AI, is that we can all understand each other. Now I'll have to translate it, and then I'll reply in English, and you guys will have to use translator to translate it back. But at least we'll understand each other. That's important, and that's one of the benefits of modernization of society. So
yeah, it's funny that you have talked about IA replacing the developers. That's not going to happen. I don't see why should it happen. I see some companies here in Portugal, for example, that thought, okay, we have 2 developers, why we do not put IA working for less? It is cheaper. Yeah. It can do better. No, it cannot do better.
No,
can do a lot more, but not better. And
yeah, it can make 2 developers able to do the work of 5, but not as good. So we have. I do lots of weird stuff in the company that people don't know. It's not public. For example, I manage the Python projects. I manage the Embarcadero. GitHub/Embarcadero. I'm one of the managers of that. So if there's anything on there, it's partly my management. Get it. Anything in the Get It listing, it's approved by Marco Cantu and myself. So I do a lot behind the scenes, and We have one is Turbo Pack, which is the famous set of components, turbo power components, and someone has done a pull request for Syn Edit, SYN Edit. It's a very famous editor, and they've made it work with FireMonkey, which is really amazing because it's been something people wanted for a long time. The trouble is that they've used AI to do it, and they've generated unit tests, and it's fantastic. It's an amazing pull request. But what they've done is one PR request. In fact, they've done 3 now, but one PR request with like 1,000 units in there and thousands of lines of change. Now, what do? Use AI to check it? That's silly. We have to be more robust than that. To accept that PR request, we've actually got to get the humans to check it as well as checking it automatically. Now, we can automatically scan it for vulnerabilities and dodgy code in there that's a hacker's put in, but at the end of the day, we've still got to manually check it, and it's slowed us down because it's so huge we can't possibly do it. We have to put some time aside to do it. We will do it, but not until we've got time to do it. So
yeah, I know that you got something to show us, something new and something that it's first time.
yeah, hang on just one second.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to show you something. Just 1 second. I'm just being phoned by my ex-wife, and I know she's got something important to tell me, so I'm telling her to text me. Okay, so let me show you 2 things. I think probably the easiest. So
you can share your screen.
yeah, I'm going to. I just need to make sure I've got the right bits up first before I share the wrong thing. I'm very careful about making sure my emails are not visible and stuff like that, but there's always a possibility you'll get the wrong thing showing. So, all right, let me just
ask you: since when does Delphi have Easter egg? I never knew that.
There's a whole blog post by Brian Long about it. No, so there you go. It's one of those things. Okay, so I'm going to share this screen. You should see my screen now. Is that right, or have I got to click? Yeah. Okay. So this is Delphi, and this is 13.1. Now, all I'm going to show you now is just something that actually it's a kind of secret, but not a secret. And what I'm going to do is, if I go into the About menu, this is, like I say, it's listed on the internet, so it's not a total secret. But if I hold down the Alt key and press TEAM, up comes a list of the people that work on the product. Okay, so these are the team members. But what I wanted to do was double click on it and show you this screen. So this screen is what we call our team screen, and this is this kind of Easter egg has been in every version of Delphi. It used to be photographs of the team members because we're proud of the guys and girls that work on it. There's a lot of them there, but this particular screen, the reason I wanted to show it is this particular one here. I'm circling a view here, and that's that is a copy of the advert which made me buy Delphi. So it's a full circle thing. So what this is here, these are the screens. Can you see my cursor? Okay, is it pointing? You can see it. Okay, so these here are beta versions of Delphi 1. So this was the releases of Delphi 1 before it ever became Delphi. We have had this screen, a similar screen to this, up in our webinar, I think in the 30th birthday webinar as well. If you look down here as well, there's a couple of things like these are books by Marco Cantu and a few others as well. Yeah, and Delphi 2 and all the rest of it. And this is the original installation screen of Delphi 1 as well, which everybody liked. And in fact, there is actually now a Delphi version of a game called Outrun, which looks just like this. It's an old game from the 90s called Outrun, where it's a driving game, but someone's written it in Delphi, so it's good. But anyway, I thought it'd be interesting for people to see the difference between the Delphi 1 IDE and the Delphi. This is actually 12.1, I think, when I took this screenshot. The Delphi logo has changed over years as well, and this was the original installer. So that's in every version of Delphi that you've had, and these are the people that work on it, including me. There you go. My name's on there as well. So there you go. So I thought that'd be nice. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to have to move you around. So I'm going to look like I'm not looking at your screen for a second. And I'm going to try and go into my Mac because I want to show you something on my Mac, if it will connect. I'm on Mac. You can connect.
No.
Oh, just when you want to show demos, and it's like, no, I don't want to do it now. Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Right. So if I now share my screen here. Okay, so this is actually my Mac, and it's Windows ARM running on my Mac. Okay, and it really is Windows ARM as well. It's not. I'm going to move this over here. So if I go into here and choose settings, oh, actually, it should have been system. You'll see Parallels ARM virtual machine, and oh, apparently I've got a Windows update I need to do. But it will say about in here. And you can see it's Apple Silicon, so it's a 64-bit operating system, ARM-based processor. So it's the real thing. It's an ARM machine, and this is Rad Studio 13.1. And you'll see a couple of things. First of all, I use a code highlighting that is called Dracula. If anybody has seen this, it's a pretty radical color scheme, shall we say, but you can get it out there. This is actually my version of Dracula, which I'll try and send you the reg file for it. And these are the new bookmarks facility that you've got in it. But what I'll do, if I just run this app, it should work. I think I've just remembered that I can't do this because I just think I'm running the stupid just remember that I am running the developer version, so I need to restart my interface. There you go. Okay, so now it'll work. So this is a demo app. You saw how fairly quick it was in starting up and launching there. If I click on here, this is a Delphi app. It's a FireMonkey app. These are all T-chart components, and this is interface. So if I click on this button up here, and you can see it pause very briefly, it's just created 1,000 entries in the interface database, and then when I click on there, instantly displays the information again. So it's very, very fast, and it's all using Windows ARM on the ARM-C there. To add that in, as long as they're using the 64-bit IDE, which is what this is, they can just go ahead and add it. So I thought you'd find that interesting. And that's what it looks like. Very pretty. I've got another project that's a similar kind of project, which I also showed during the webinar. I'm just going to open that for a second. So what we've got here is a project called Clean Dash. So it looks very similar. If I just run it. So it is the one that's running at the moment is Clean Dash server. So this is a web app. And in fact, what I'm going to do is just stop that for a second and run this, just so you can see what it should look like. So this is a VCL app, okay? and it's using just standard controls. There are no, this is Aerosoft controls, but this graph here, and this graph here are both generated dynamically. Okay, so it's actual code that does that in the background. Same with these figures here, it's all code. You'll notice that the title bar is all customized, and this is a VCL app. So the code looks like that, doesn't do anything spectacular. There's a thing called a graph provider and a few other things as well. If I now go into this and run it, you can see it says that it started the server on local port on port 8080. If I go into Microsoft Edge, which is very slow on this machine. Oh, because it had to update. There is your project. Looks exactly the same as a VCL project, except it is actually a web stencils project. So again, same shared code for Delphi in the background there, generating these graphs, exactly the same graphs, generated dynamically, same code, going to the web. All of this information going to the web, all of the 7 out of 10 going to the web. These buttons are all using just standard HTML. So very, very powerful what you can do with Rad Studio, and that's Rad Studio 12.1. It would work just the same. And just to remind you, oops, well, this is going very slowly all of a sudden. Oh, see now. It doesn't like me multitasking across my Mac. But if I run this again, that's a VCL, just to remind you. So exactly the same piece of code. So fun project. Everybody seems to like the dashboard ones. I don't know why. I think we have a lot of people that are looking to do similar kind of projects, you know, ERM systems and stuff like that. But all good fun. There you go. So you learnt a secret, and you saw a couple of projects as well.
So cool. Because of that, I love to work Delphi. I can do everything what I need with Delphi. I have worked with Delphi more than 25 years. I don't know, since Delphi 1. And,
oh, so 30 years probably.
No, me.
Yeah. Well, Delphi 1 was 31 years ago. So
yes, I
yeah.
know. And I love to work with Delphi. But before we finished this podcast, we can see an arcade back there. Do you something stop for a bit and play there in your arcade?
Sorry, say that again.
I can see an arcade behind you.
Oh, this thing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this
do
is
you
kind of
something
cool.
stop for a bit and play there?
No. I'm no good at games. I tell you. Well, this game here is actually made by a company called Midway, and they make the original arcade games back in the 1980s.
Huh?
And what's cool about this, though, is this game here. This is the Mortal Kombat 3. But if I hit this and say, see this game. Oops.
What?
See how many games it's got on it? Want to play Defender? You can play Defender on it. It does Rampage, you know, like with the gorilla and all the rest of it. So come on, do it in a second. Oh, show me the game. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not good at it. But
You have
what's even more impressive is it has an Ethernet cable coming out the bottom, and it's online. So when you want to play 2-player, you can play with other people around the world.
Oh, good.
So if you play Mortal Kombat, you can have a fight with someone around the world. It's great.
Very good.
It was not cheap, but it wasn't expensive. And of course, Spock. There's a life-size Spock. So I'm a really crazy Star Trek fan. So yeah.
Yes,
But, yeah.
I like more Star Wars.
No.
Oh,
Oh.
but you see what I have there?
Sorry?
Do you see what this is?
I see.
Yeah.
Me too.
I have some toys for Star Wars behind me.
Well, this was a gift from the Danish user group. I went to Denmark, and they have an amazing event there. It's like 3 days in a hotel that does amazing food, like Michelin star food. It's incredible. It's the best event I've ever been to. I couldn't stay there much longer because I would be too overweight. But this was something they put together. I actually cheated. I got my daughter is a terrible gaming freak. Okay, and her and her husband. She's 25, but her and her husband put this together for me because I'm like, I don't have the patience. So I gave it to them, and they assembled it, and they glued it together as well. So
and I have the mask.
Yes, yeah. You gotta have the mask. Yeah. It's, I have all those.
Do you like comics?
Yes, in fact, I have some graphic novels there and things like that as well. I think I've always been a true geek. I think it's important to be a little bit of a geek, and I think that the reason I like Star Trek is its pure escapism. And I think that it shows the world in an ideal way, except it's not, of course, because they're always killing aliens. But you know, the ideas are sound. It's a good thing overall. So yeah, it's fun. But
I have more than 1,000 comics here in my home. My wife, I make her crazy when I.
Well, let's just
more
say
than 1,000 that I read. Listen.
Oh my gosh! Well, I've been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. So there you go. I think
you knew my wife in the event here in Portugal.
I don't need to ask anybody anymore about anything. But yeah, it's good. But yeah, the video game is mainly, I think, as a prop for when I'm on screen, because I think when people see that, they feel happy that they understand that I'm one of them. Yeah, I think it's important because our boss, the general manager, before he became our general manager, he used to work for Ultra Edit, and he always had this really cool office background behind him, and it was a real one. It wasn't a fake screen. And I always used to look at his screen, and my one at the time was quite boring. And I thought, I really like his background. It's very interesting when you see him present that he's got something like that. So that's what I do with mine. These are all books, you know, these are all Delphi books and things like that. And yeah, I mean, obviously the mask and all the rest of it. This helmet here, this is from Jim McKeith. He also gave me the sword to go with it. I have the weirdest.
my God!
Yeah. The great thing about living in Texas. The great thing about living in Texas is you can have weapons. Yeah. But that was from Jim as well. He came down to see me. He brought his own version of this sword, and we had a sword fight in the street. There is video of a sword fighting. So if you think I'm a geek, when he came to visit me, we have the National Computer Games Museum in Frisco, and he went down there, and I couldn't get him out. He was too busy. He wanted to play all the computer games. So there you go.
So yeah, I would like to talk to you the whole day, but we can't.
I know,
of course, because your time, our time, but before we finished. Do you have any final message for our Portuguese community?
I think that you guys do a very good job, and I think that's an important thing. I think they should appreciate how hard you work. You work excellently. George, you know, I get so many emails from George. Ah, we're at a school and we're doing this, and the both of you are both crazy at how hard you work. But I don't want people to ever think that Embarcadero is like some impossible company that you can't reach, because all of us give out our email addresses, and yeah, we get a lot of crazy emails, but we also get a lot of good emails. And every email you will get if you email me is written by me, not AI, not an assistant, not a secretary, me. And I think that's important because, you know, the trend over the world is more and more about not being able to speak to someone. If your Amazon delivery doesn't turn up, who do you talk to? You don't speak to anybody real. It's a chat bot, or it's a series of events. If you want to complain about what's wrong with Microsoft's AI, who do you email? There's nobody in and this is it's not a complaint about Microsoft. They do their own thing, and they have billions of users compared to millions. But I didn't want us to be that faceless organization, and it never is. So whoever you are, if you're thinking about becoming a developer or you're already a developer and you want to contact us, we're always here. And I am a developer. And if you choose not to use Delphi, that's fine. I'll still talk to you. I mean it. You know, I'll talk to you about software development because it's the best job in the world, and I still love it even now after 42 years. I think I've been doing it now, so maybe longer actually. I never counted, but it's a long time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. João, is everything all set on your side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a small disclosure. This is the first time. It will not be the last. And if George agrees, we will see Ian very soon in May, right?
Well, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it depends on
Let's do it.
what the governments do with the visas, because I was supposed to go to Brazil last year, got to the airport and they're like, sorry, no, you can't come. I'm like, why not? Last year I went and it was fine. It is what it is, isn't it? But yes, of course. And I will, if people have their own local events, I'm happy to turn up virtually and say hi as well, even if it's for 2 or 3 minutes. I can talk for just 2 minutes, honest. but you know, anything that encourages people to attend the user group, if me turning up helps that's great. If they want to know, if they've got some questions about it, let me know as well, you know, about the products or anything like that. I won't lie to them. If I can't tell people, if I can't give people a straight answer, I'll tell them. And if I don't know the answer, I'll go and find out what the answer is. So, you know, it's always a pleasure.
Okay, so the pleasure for us, Ian. Really. So thank you so much, Ian, for joining us today, and thank you to everyone listening this video. That's for this episode, right? Thank you so much.
Very nice.
I say,
I'm learning.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was an honor for us. Okay. Yeah, don't go yet. Okay, I will end this video, and we can talk a little bit more after this video.
Off the record.
Yes.
Sure, no problem. Off air. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No
and
bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
As opiniões e declarações feitas pelos entrevistados do Papo Dev com Portinho são de exclusiva responsabilidade deles e não refletem necessariamente a posição dos apresentadores, da produção ou do canal. O conteúdo aqui exibido tem caráter informativo e opinativo, não estando vinculado a qualquer compromisso com a veracidade ou exatidão das falas dos participantes. Caso você se sinta ofendido ou tenha qualquer dúvida sobre as declarações feitas neste vídeo, por favor, entre em contacto connosco para esclarecimentos. Estamos abertos a avaliar e, se necessário, editar o conteúdo para garantir a precisão e o respeito a todos.